So these are how I make apple muffin cups. I take jumbo biscuits, I stretch them out. I have a jumbo muffin cup pan, but you don't have to use jumbo. You can use the small ones and just cut your biscuits in half or get smaller biscuits. I use a smidge of bacon grease, a little bit of butter. I use a half a cup of raw sugar. Okay? I use less than half a cup, but I know that's the going rate for majority of you. I use a third of a cup of raw sugar for myself, and I use a tablespoon of honey, and I use a tablespoon of brown sugar. So that's what I use, but majority of people will use a half a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and they usually don't use honey, but that's just my recipe. And I use 1 apple. I cut it up into small cubes, and while that's simmering, I also add vanilla paste. I told you I add a smidge of bacon grease. I use cinnamon. Measure that with your heart. I use apple spice, I use nutmeg, and I just let it cook down, okay? Now my oven is preheated, it's on 350, and we are gonna start filling these muffin cups, and we are gonna put them in the oven for about 25 minutes. Now, when I make my glaze, I use a smidge of bacon grease, I use orange oil. If you don't have orange oil, use a little orange zest, and use a little bit of butter. So now I'm gonna start stretching these over the muffin cups, and I will scoop this in and I will show you what it's supposed to look like. So you see how this is? Oh, Jesus. So you see how this is? You don't want it to slump any further, okay? But make sure they're greased. That will help them move along a lot easier. This is what they will look like, okay? Now you want to salvage 2 scoops, okay, or just 1 great big scoop, and we are going to make 2 small empanadas, okay? And here you go. You want to put small scoops so you can press them down. I do not wet the edges of my dough at all. I, in fact, leave it dry, and then I press the corners. Sorry, I press the corners like that. I can't really do it with the bone in my hand, but I'll show you what it looks like after. So what I do is I basically twist it and fold it under, and then after I take a fork. These are for me and my husband, so please don't go crazy because I'm not wearing gloves. I wash my hands constantly. And here is the other empanada. I love these countertops. They make it so easy to cut things and do things like that. And these are gonna come up real easy for you. Just place them in a greased cake pan or baking sheet. And there you have it. Now we're gonna pop these in the oven for about 25 minutes. And when we bring them out, we're gonna have a glaze made. And look at this beautiful, beautiful glaze. So this is how I do my glaze. I use powdered sugar. I use orange oil. This is from Elevation Terpenes. They do FDA approved terpenes. Orange oil comes from orange peel, and it's a wonderful addition to this recipe. You can use this with your glazes for cakes. You can use this with your glazes for cinnamon rolls. It just gives it an orange flavor, and it tastes so good. The tart with the sweetness combined together, it makes it the perfect orange flavored treat. And the orange just tastes wonderful with apples. Now, if you can't get oils, get an orange and get yourself a grater, cheese grater, and it should have a zesting part on that grater, and you can zest it. But you don't add that until last. So what I do is I used a tablespoon of butter, heated it up, and I added about 1/4 cup of powdered sugar and stirred it, and then I added water and heated it up. Now, you're gonna be stirring it with this whisker after you heat it up, and you're not gonna see it break up. Don't get upset, it's okay. I add a smidge of bacon grease just for flavoring, because I love bacon. Who doesn't love bacon? And after that, I just keep stirring in more powdered sugar. Okay, you don't add too much water, but you want to add a little bit of water, like a tablespoon at a time, and whisk it in, okay? and until it looks like this, okay? And you can heat it up. You can look up glaze recipes on TikTok. You know, maybe I'm not the best teacher, but this is how you want it to look, okay? And it's not hot, it's cold. It just has water in it. Now it's still warm and it will harden and set eventually, but this is the consistency that you want. Unless you have someone else who's glazed that you love, this is the one you should be doing. Now I will tell you this, I used to add SoCo. Back when I drank alcohol, I used to add SoCo to my glaze, just a capful, and I would heat it with the sugar in the microwave with the butter, and oh my gosh, what are you talking about? What a wonderful treat. Just make sure you cook that alcohol out of there. But this is a wonderful glaze. You're gonna love to add this to any treat that you make, especially this one that includes apples. So we've got 6 minutes left, and we put 25 minutes on the clock. Now, I want to tell you, those empanadas before, I got them overfilled, and my batter was wetter. Or not my batter, my filling was wetter. And the filling was leaking out of the crevices or whatever, and I was able to let it cool and wrap the candied filling around the empanada, and it was like a candied exterior. It was amazing. But these are gonna be so good, guys. All right, and we are out. So when they came out of the oven, I brushed them with butter. You can also spray them with butter if you have spray butter. And I heated up the glaze. So I think I might add a little bit more powdered sugar just to thicken it up just a little bit more. And then I'm gonna brush this glaze over all of these goodies. Make sure that you are whisking this glaze. Don't use a fork, don't use a spoon, whisk it. Whisk it, okay? All right, so I'm about to brush some of this glaze on this empanada, and I absolutely love this glaze. I love it. There is no glaze on this earth like it. The bacon fat, glorious. The bacon fat mixed with the sweetness of the sugar and the orange oil, baby. That stuff ain't nothing to play with. So next, we're gonna hold this over. We're gonna glaze the edges. There we go. And we're gonna just drizzle some of that in the center. And we're gonna keep going all around the edges. I usually pull these out first, but I don't know, I didn't do that today. But as soon as I get done with this, I will most certainly pull them out. But this little muffin cup treat is super easy. I mean, you could just make empanadas if you want. You know, that's how I started out, was making empanadas. And then I was like, you know, because my empanadas weren't always that great, I was just like, I want something easy. And I saw a video of someone doing something similar to this, but different. They weren't muffin cups. Like, she chopped up the biscuits while they were frozen and mixed the squares with squared apple, but it doesn't really mix well that way. So I don't know, sometimes I make monkey bread like that, but there we go. Boom, baby, boom. And we want to make sure we get those crevices. You know, that's the best way, is to thicken it up on the crevices, okay? There we go. Now, let me show you how it's done. All right. Don't mind my broke knife. That's my broke knife holder. My good knives is over this way. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Here we go. Look at that. Look at that. Wonderful. These are great. These are yummy. I absolutely love them. We might have to use both of our hands. Oh, there we go. Yay. This is like a broke knife that I use for stuff like this. I try to find the usage even in the broken things. So there we go. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can't wait for Doug to get home, and he is gonna love this. He had a tooth pulled the other day, and he's able to finally, you know, eat his favorite treats again. So there we go, guys. This is a very easy dessert to make.